Meherabad.
Welcome. This afternoon, now that you've all had your cake, we would like to bring you a tasting of poetry of Barber's poet, Francis Brabazon, a Mundley member who was Australian. And Francis lived with Barber at Meherabad from 1958 to after Barber's dropping the body in 1969. Barber called Francis his poet, though Barber's sign for Francis was cracked Westerner. So without further ado, we four cracked Barber lovers are going to perform for you some of the poetry that Francis read to Barber in Mundley Hall, Meherabad, as well as some of Francis's poetry that Sam Saunders, Chris Gray and I have put to music over the years. Taken from a theme that runs through Francis's work, we have entitled this offering to our beloved, Singing in His Silence. You have said, drown all sounds in my silence, so that you may hear my word of words. Yet you demand fresh songs to bind me in your net of contradictory chords. But it wouldn't be you if you did not require opposite things at the same time, such as a dissonant harmony and a melody of correct rhyme. You are the master musician and the great ancient silence. What a strange accord. The universe is your chorale, swinging about the axis of your silent word. Really, you created the universe to provide me with a journey, after which done, I would meet you, beloved. But before creation was, we were already one. A journey into nothingness along the star-studded loop of space, a voyage into separation to arrive at your dwelling place. Sweet nothingness that taught me your everythingness. Sweet song of the stars that taught me how to imprison silence behind musical bars. So, to a small degree, I have obeyed your order to be silent and sing, but only by wine have I been able to accomplish this impossible thing.
Francis says of himself and his work in the preface to Stay with God, in the years of trying to absorb the truths of truth and beauty, I have been as a pygmy, wandering among giants, trying to pick up the elements of their speech. And in the writing of this book, I have been supported and encouraged only by the smile of the king of the giants and the faith of a few friends. What I have written may be of some value to others, but if not, not. That is their affair. Mine was in the writing and in the continuance of that course which I once set, but which is now in the hands of my beauty and truth. Meherabad.
I am truth, I am love, and to you I say, I will keep your hearts till the break of day. Will you love me true? Will you love always? For I've loved you since the first morning. Will you follow me, and not repine? Will you drink my cup for auld lang syne, be it vinegar or the sweetest wine? For I've cherished you so since the first morning. That morning when I woke and started to sing and put the universe on my finger as a ring, and I sent you forth as the buds of spring on that first and most glorious morning. And you went with a shout and you went with a cheer, but my heart was torn because you were so dear, and I knew it would be a good billion years before there even dawned your own morning. I wrapped you with love and I wrapped you with care for the long, long trail from here to there, where we'd meet again in your heart so fair, as they opened like flowers in that morning. Now the day is here and the dawn has spread across the white sky, the rose that bled from your hearts, and there's no more trail to tread, only singing in me in this morning, only singing in me in this morning.
In a preface to a later... Oops. Just a second. In a preface to a later work, The Word at World's End, Francis wrote, "I have infinitely crafted my ideas before beginning to write, and in my best work, the idea forged its own form of expression. In Stay with God, the opening line came to me 12 years before I wrote that book. And it was not an odd line, jotted down and forgotten. I carried it with me, noting its possibilities and acquiring the material it would need.
Wings towards the glaciers of Kailash, where the first fathers nourished the seed of God, and Shiva gentled Ganga, and Parvati walked by streams of living heart."
Meherabad had Stay with God read to him 3 times, stating that it gave life to his own book, God Speaks. Baba also said of Stay with God, "My love will touch the hearts of all who read it, as no book has ever done."
Stay with God was published in 1959, the year after Baba visited and named Avatar's Abode in Queensland, Australia, and also Francis's first year with Baba at Meherabad. This is Francis's dedication.
To Meher Baba, my Lord and friend of the worlds, here is the book on the theme you set me, and which I took into my heart and pondered to the end, that your dear name be known to men, and send perhaps one to your feet. Look indulgently on it, or else forsaken am I. Yet, Lord, correct my wit and mend my heart in love, for love is my story, and in this book have I labored to tell something of your most marvelous labor. When of myself I wrote, naught of your savor was in it, but when I wrote of love, I wrote well, even showing forth some fraction of your glory.
Once I thought that I could sing through this throat, but you made me an instrument to play your note, and all other songs simply left my head. This song river dried up and left an empty is singing in every heart. Oh, beloved, you play each and every part. Every throat is a note, and music is your divine art. Music is your divine art.
Wings toward the glaciers of Kailas, where the first fathers nourished the seed of God. And Shiva gentled Ganga, and Parvati walked by the streams of living heart. For Shiva was Jesus before him, as was Abraham, and Zarathustra, and Buddha, and Muhammad, and their loveliness, God's avatar, as is now Baba. Sing, Baba, your descent this time on earth, your brightness in our night, your comfort in our separation.
He is nothing and he is everything. He is nothing and he is everything. He is Avatar. He is Avatar. He is nothing and he is everything. He is nothing and he is everything. He is Avatar. He is Avatar. Meher Baba, Meher Baba, beautiful is the ancient one. Meher Baba has come, he has come. Meher Baba, Meher Baba, beautiful is the ancient one. Meher Baba has come, he has come. He is Avatar. He is Avatar.
We have been brought up on a story, the wholeness of which is perfect, but which in its telling only half was told. Of the lamb being killed, the other half in which the lion rose with a roar which shook the whole earth has been left unsaid.
He suffered the slaughter of his lambness and slept for 3 days in his cave on the mountainside. Then joined his Father, ruler of wide heaven, in judgment on us, for ours is the sin.
An opiate teaching for an indolent people. Brought up on a half doctrine we have been, music on instruments without completion of lovely speech, of song, the lesser half, for music is in all nature, but speech is alone of man, and God's sacrifice in each of his avatars is felt by all things in the earth, even stones and trees, but his glory is understood by men, and men, by leave of the saints, can tread the path to it, and by the grace of the perfect masters attain it. Bright jewel, your greatness is in your humiliation. Your sun glory is in your moon gentleness. From your suffering is born all singing. A ray, beloved, from the jewel of your pain, an arrow ray, a sudden rifle ray in this density of called heart, that my soul, enwrapped in shadow coat of your glory, may sing you and continue to unfold the story of your love.
Awake and sing, all you that float on the ocean of illusion, for the beloved is here, and in him there is no exclusion. Make your hearts giant guitars, chord sounding, and your souls melodies fine drawn, and full of thousands of delicate courtesies. Empty your skulls of their brains, wash them out clean, and keep them ready as wine bowls Who knows? The beloved's whim may have our names inscribed on the wine shop's honor rolls. Awake and come up from the waters of illusion's sad sea, onto the beach, to the wine shop's threshold with dance and sweet melody. The beloved has millions of ears and eyes, and not a note or step will be lost. And I tell you that his greatest attribute, unwritten yet, is the divine host. But if it is not his pleasure to play host to us this time, what of it? We'll go on singing. We'll go on singing. Maybe to compose the best of the Advent song hit. The Advent song hit. Francis, tell them your secret. The beloved cannot resist good singing for long. That's been his weakness ever since he sang the world into being with a song. That's been his weakness ever since he sang the world into being, world into being, world into being with a song.
Brought up on half doctrine we have been, music on instruments without completion of lovely speech of song. The lesser half, for music is in all nature, but speech is alone of man, and God's sacrifice in each of his avatars is felt by all things in the earth, even stones and trees. But his glory is understood by men, and men by leave of the saints can tread the path to it, and by the grace of the perfect masters attain it.
People are man and man is people. Their bones are the structure of the universe. Their tongues are the harps of the stars. Their hearts are nets which can capture God.
Back in Australia, the most east of the West, John Carey continued the exile he had begun so and so many millions of lives ago through his own act of waking up and wanting to know exactly who he was. A musical question turned out to be a fugal proposition of infinite possible development.
We set out in the long ago, in the dawn of creation.
The dawn of creation.
We had every reason to rejoice, for we had just left your presence.
Just left your presence.
Ah, beloved. Oh, we set out singing. Shall we start again? We set out in the long ago, in the dawn of creation.
The dawn of creation.
We set out singing in a sort of a nude jubilation.
A nude jubilation.
We had every reason to rejoice, for we had just left your presence.
Just left your presence.
Ah, beloved, we had no idea there'd be a billion years absence.
A billion years absence.
A conducted tour of space with the stars as our guides, we thought.
The stars as our guides, we thought.
Oh God, no excursion ticket was ever so dearly bought.
So dearly bought.
Presently, Earth loomed before us with a notice board. Your trip ends here.
Your trip ends here.
And the angel part of us fled, and the man part stayed, rooted in fear.
rooted in fear.
But we knew that we would have to take up the load of birth.
The load of birth.
We were children no longer, but men to inhabit earth.
Men to inhabit earth.
And soon, it now seems, you, beloved, came swinging down the road, calling your bright call.
Your bright call.
The lover is only his own imagination. The beloved is all in all.
The beloved is all in all.
Once we were children singing anthems and praises before the throne of the Lord.
Before the throne of the Lord.
Now we are the Love Street singers, filling in time, awaiting your lovely word.
Awaiting your lovely word. Only a deep cloud of a man can rain rains over parched earth. My gods are diminishing, since you are a jealous God, one lovely in vanity of a lone selfness. Let the mill of you grind this to flour for the hungry of you, or let their hunger grow into a crop of hunger, so that they will the more seek you and cast this as dust to the wind. Or when the grinding is done, either to flour or dust, give me a word, a lovely singing word in my mouth, some honey word, some wine word to utter in singing, not for many, but for thou in my ear to delight in. So that my ear may aid my eyes to fix themselves only on your dear form. A singingness of a word, the lovely word of your name, thou beloved one, you.
Sing, oh sing Meher's name. Ring heart bells, his boundless fame. He is God and he is man. At his nod the world began. He is truth and all beauty. He is true infinity.
You are the great undoer, so that what shall be done, the remover who brings forward, the stupefier who makes intelligent, the wind that levels the young wheat, that the stalks may grow strong in the sun, while you, during the days of its growing, attend other else, and whet your eyes the scythe of its reaping. Thou lovely one, thou faithless one of all faith.
God is all merciful, but don't expect from him kindness according to your own mind's cut and trim. If he had entirely tempered the wind to the shorn sheep, we would never have become man, but stayed in stone asleep. Mighty the buffetings from God before self in stone burst from its prison to become moss and tree and suffer thirst. If we had not tramped the plains with burning feet, we would not have found the beloved's house in Love Street. The beloved is all merciful and compassionate, ever concerned about our arrival at true self-state. He drove us up out of stone dwelling, out of leaf, out of sheep. If he had tempered the wind entirely, we would still be asleep.
Thus was John Carey complaining and praising, for complaint is praise, inasmuch as complaint is attachment, and praise is complaint, was the beginning of those subtractions, the sum total of which would be the subtraction of him from himself. When the 5 sheaves are subtracted, Atma alone remains. Shivoham, Shivoham. I am. Existence, knowledge, bliss. Cease. Cease. Swallow thy breath every moment.
I dwell in dust and sing, and my song is most sweet. For although I lie prostrate, I do not entreat. I would not wish to be less than the seasons which wait their turn, nor than fire hidden in wood to burst into life and burn.
Once God slept and awoke and journeyed in immense journeying through stone and metal and green of earth and worm and fish and bird and animal and assumed man shape. And as man loved his loves and suffered his loves and died to his loves and was born to them again and again, repeating each time the folly of I and you and yours and mine, linking securely the links of the evil chain. A man, sunlight of eyes, pastures of sweet lips, dark night and the cruel wave curling beneath. The road, himself the road, love and the grace of the master.
My beloved spins the earth on the tip of one finger. Why should I cry for gifts? He will not forget his singer.
Dropped last roll state, called heaven and hell, pleasure and suffering, intensified through lack of dampening flesh. Hell is hot or cold, or hot and cold, according to the heat of desires and coldness of love. But world himself is fire, which ever heats the crucible of forms, in which is melted the impressions of flesh and bone and brain back to their origins of earth. Fire, which after the clay is molded again as bricks for heart's next desire, breaks them to hardened form for soul's next expectation. Himself, brickmaker, fire, house builder, and householder.
They who ask God to fulfill their desires have no faith in him, for the essence of faith is to abide the beloved's whim.
Never coming in terms with it, never for long, undividedly enjoying residence in earth's forms. Promises, never holding beyond the duration of the glass, wine's taste, beyond the duration of the kiss. Forgetfulness.
I hold out my cup for him to fill at his pleasure. Now or at world's end, it will be the same full measure.
Beyond the night, release, moon of beauty, then harsh sun of day, and baked or frozen lands of narrow streets and fears, resident in earth, house building, bridge building to beyond earth's boundaries and the unseen bridge, and reviewing unskillfully experience of earth residence, good against bad, bad against good, equipoise, engrossment, and falling to birth to experience that engrossment, till he meets the blissful, compassionate master and takes his stand in the flood, in the currents of himself, and says in himself, enough has been far too much, and willingly and reverently with joy high-hoped bows before that one of wisdom and light.
Waiting is easy for me. I spent 1,000,000 years as a stone, and then millions more, shaping my ears to receive love's song's golden tone. Now my waiting is praising, and my praising is sweet. For although I lie prostrate, I do not entreat.
And he, the great one, says, fear not, my child, my lover. There is a way through the sea of appearance in which you are swirling, a method of stopping the whirling wheel of rebirth, a means whereby the foundations of your present house may be shattered and no more built. For every knot tied, there is an untying. For every pain, a remedy. For every ignorance, a replacement with knowledge. Ancient is this knowledge, so ancient that God, on his first arrival back into himself, after his same journey you are making, knew it and brought it down to earth as first avatar. So ancient, yet ever wondrously new.
People built cities and monuments of music and poetry and stone to tame the nomad in them, to celebrate their eternal journeying, to celebrate their eternal journeying.
Sings to him of the song of wayfaring, the adult occupation, melting his heart with its sweetness and inspiring his soul with its possibility. Then gives to him the precious word, to be his sword, to cut through the hosts of himself, hosts of vast exile nourished by the moon and bright foamed sea and stars of eyes and horizons of brow and wells of sweet lips and sun clear or in murky sky and hammered streets, a sword to slay the great beast of far past, to cut himself free from entrancement on the dazzling plains and go on back to the master. He to cut the last veil between him and himself.
People were the reason for the creation. There will be no end ever to people. Wars and earthquakes and tidal waves will wipe out cities and waste the farmlands. The ice will creep down, shearing off civilizations, but people will come up again. The earth will grow cold, but it will be replaced by another. For there must always be a place for people, a place on which to stand and sing.
So must be prepared the ground for the sowing, for the entering of the seed of light in one's earth. For the seed of man is the gathering of light of form. The seed of light is the grace of the perfect master.
The first is coupled with death. The second is the cause of immortality. Following the moon path is rebirth. Following the track of the sun, following the track of the sun, the wheel of birth is broken. Man is reborn in the deathless, never to return except as a perfect master.
Worshipping the gods of thy God, the gods of gadgets and guns, one is born again, where the burden may be reassumed, where the fright and the frustration may be again enjoyed. Worshipping with surrenderance and love the name of the form of God. To God one comes when it is the whim of the perfect master.
Suffering birth again and again, and never learning that ourselves of our desires and hopes exist not, but arose out of nothing, nothing, held loosely in everything's hand, as a game, as a game, as a game, as a game. For its knowledge that it comes at long last to the condition of a perfect master.
Held in its hand as a ball tossed and caught and tossed by a man, marking the pleasure of his marksmanship, or as a mirror in a lovely woman's hand, advising her of her loveliness, is the world of forms and bursts in the hands of the perfect master.
Art is an act of love in likeness of itself. Spirit molding matter into lovely form. God's compassion as avatar unto men, and men's devotion to avatar as God, by God, for devotion is by grace alone.
Once men sang purely in the work of their hands, in the speech of their mouths. They knew that Avatar and the perfect masters were the only God on the earth, and that the saints were doors to him. By God men lived, and his name wrought their works.
Art is an act of love, an imperishable statement cut in stone, uttered in tones and words, or through the movements of the dancer, and thus impressioned in the material of mind, continually contemporary and continuously accessible to one who loves. As act, self-sufficient. Useless for thy works of progress, O man. As statement, revealment of the beauty of God and proof of his eternal existence. Come, an end to equivocation and mud puddling.
Art is a statement in praise, his craft in us, fashioning us in likeness of himself. The perfect masters, his consummate works. The saints, near completion. Us, his beginnings. He is the only singer. He sings the creation. He is singing, supports, and destroys it.
There's a drum that's beating all around us. Come follow me. There's a drum that's beating all around us. Come follow me. It's been drumming for eternity. Come follow me.
The drum is drumming, who's coming?
The drum is drumming, who's coming?
The drum is drumming, who's coming? Follow me.
What a game is our beloved playing. What a game is our beloved playing. Every particle of his creation is dancing only in his imagination. What a song is our beloved singing. What a song is our beloved singing. Creation is a manifestation of every note that he sings in his elation. Oh, and flags of victory fill the skies, and flags of victory fill the skies, and love is dancing before our eyes, and love is dancing before our eyes, and nature shouting surprise, surprise, and nature shouting surprise, and the drum is drumming all around us, and the drum is drumming all around us.
One day we will hear it.
Meherabad, beloved.
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 One day we will hear it.
Meherabad, that day when we become dust at our beloved's feet. Become dust at our beloved's feet. When we become the dust at our beloved's feet.
So have I writ what love told me to write, and every line betrays my poverty of love. As a poor man asks his charity, displays a single shilling, to our sight. Yes, I am somewhat content of my plight, in that rich love stooped down to ask me, thus honoring me, in whom no others see worth, myself the least. Thus does love with light and gentle grace encourage on his way the least of us, taking each by the hand he's labored with, using the same labor to raise him to still greater favor, even perhaps to love's own path, to stand in light when silence speaks its shining day.
I can't get up. Beloved, Meherabad, Ki Jai. Lorraine composed, put together, compiled is the word. She compiled it all. She put it together, and it's been a pleasure, an absolute joy to work with Francis's work, and Lorraine and Alan and Larry. But just it's been such a joy to work with Francis. Jai Baba.